correspondent Joie Chen has more on textbook racism in the classroom.
Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Noah Webster, that's the dictionary Webster. All great writers we think of as progressive. But a closer look at their writings, and those of many others, finds shocking ties to the ideals of white supremacy.
They're all using the same kind of language in describing and dismissing people of African descent. All of them.
But wait, I mean, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman?
Yeah. It's stunning.
That's Donald Yakavon, historian and author of a new book, Teaching White Supremacy, who recognizes that what he's got to say sounds like heresy.
It wasn't intended that way. I didn't even know I was doing that until it happened. But it is an assault on the way we understand our culture and ourselves.
Yakavon was deep into research on another book when, just for fun, he went to the library to check out some old textbooks. But then you went down a rabbit hole.
It was like Alice in Wonderland. I fell in, and it was in a completely different world. I saw this collection of 3,000 textbooks, and I was stunned. I just wasn't expecting that.
Yes, he said 3,000 textbooks, dating back to the early 1800s, all the way up to current texts. This is just a fraction of what you
An infinitesimal fraction of all the ones that I looked at.
And the recurring themes, he says, were taught to generations of American school kids. The achievements of Black Americans and other non-whites were consistently ignored. African Americans were portrayed as incapable of learning or achieving even well after the Civil War, and it got worse. Here's how a textbook used in the late 20th century described enslaved people.
They loved to sing and dance. They were generally blessed with a keen sense of humor, and this is the tough part. And a certain amount of promiscuity was taken for granted. Slave women rarely resisted the advances of white men, as their numerous mulatto progeny abundantly attested.
That's a high school textbook from the 1940s, which Yakavon says was still in use decades later in classrooms across the country. Textbooks contain old tropes because a handful of publishers have traditionally dominated the industry, and two states, California and Texas, because they buy so many, have outsized influence on what goes into books. So if the Texas education
Doesn't approve of a textbook or a certain section of a textbook, it gets rewritten.
Still, he says the blame for racist textbooks doesn't lie solely in conservative southern states. Remember those early thought leaders from the progressive Northeast? Yakavon argues their writing shapes what we have all learned.
The textbooks are the embodiment of what we value in our culture.
This is what we're teaching kids.
Yeah, what we value. And what we the damage is considerable.
And that's a tough lesson to unlearn. For a matter of fact, I'm Joie Chen in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Ahead